Oh my gosh, Andrew, we are so tired of hearing you talk about Fi. And you know what? That's fair, right? To some of you, that's fair. That's where I've been putting all of my efforts since Uprising has released. That said, let's pump the brakes and talk about something fun. I want to talk about my girl Kassai tonight, right? Because I think there's an excellent chance, I hope there's an excellent chance, that we're going to see a version of Kassai in the next set. But I want to caution you, I'm pretty sure she's not going to have the same ability. A huge shout out to our channel members for supporting what we do here. If you want to get involved with the channel and the Dice Commando community, please consider joining as a channel member. Remember, these videos are only possible with your support. You can show that support with a like, a subscribe, and by leaving us a comment and sharing your feedback. Community first, and go Commando. Hey there, Flesh and Blood folks. Welcome back to Dice Commando and Go Again, a fabulous cast for, that's right, just a fun hangout cast tonight. Doing a little speculation on my girl, Kassai. Now, kind of the long story background, well, short story summarized background of all of this is there have been a couple interviews with James White over the last, let's call it 2 months, kind of leading up into Uprising, and then last weekend, not really an interview, ping, either way, that he was asked, when do we expect to see more Bravo Star of the Shows, right? When do we expect to see someone? There's been a lot of speculation over, it'll be Kano. We know that the Emperor is coming out in the next set. And then last weekend, it was actually Jason from Outcast Haven. He pinged on the Q&A from the Auckland RTN, and he said, hey, when do we expect to see one of the young heroes become an adult? And the answer was soon, right? It's a very, 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 very good and vague answer, right? Saying soon. Now, again, like I said, I know there's been a lot of speculation on Kano being, maybe like the star of the show. But I think we're gonna see Kassai, and there's a couple reasons, both thematically and not really mathematically, but kind of logistically, why I think Kassai will probably be in the next set. Why, at the very least, why I'm hoping. Right? We all have our hopes and dreams and biases, and I really do believe that Kassai at some point is going to become something. And a lot of this has to do with, I'll throw it up right now. I'll throw up her lore. Her story is very well developed, almost too developed to have become just something that was pooped out on a whim that early, right? So the background on her was that she was the daughter of a very prestigious general. He was betrayed, and her family was killed, and she was orphaned, and she went out into the desert and learned how to do all this, and then she's waiting for her time, right? That's a very abridged version of a very abridged story. I get it. I'm not trying to do disservice to the lore or anything. That's not the intent, but, we have video time. The point here is, if you really look at that story, right now, Kassai is traveling the desert, right? She's learning, she's biding her time. Kassai, the Cintauri sellsword, she's a killer, she's well-trained. There's a story going on with her with blood on her hands, right? She did her thing. And I think we're going to see an adult version of Kassai. Now, the killjoy part of this discussion is I don't think we're going to see Kassai Cintauri sellsword as she exists today become the adult hero, meaning she won't carry her ability. And there's a couple reasons for that. Well, I'll talk the reason for that both in a tactical standpoint as well as just a practical standpoint, right? The first of which being that we haven't seen a warrior in a good while now, and it's probably, warriors are kind of, a thing in fantasy lore, and I think it's about time. Plus, she's the right region for the set or the themes that we are in right now. And I think it makes sense, right? And we already spoke to the lore version of, she's young, and maybe it's time for her to come into her own and get revenge. The reason, though, that I don't think that she's going to see... So let's move into the tactical of why I don't think that her ability will carry, right? I do believe that Kassai Cintauri Sellsword is the final version of this version of Kassai, because this version is baller. And I believe that if this... The summary version is, I believe that if this version carried into CC, that she would be probably too good, realistically. Probably on... This isn't a completely fair statement, because the math's actually in Kassai's favor, at least on paper, but probably not in actuality as being a combo game. But Kassai's ability is worth one core value to the... Right, whatever value system you place on Flesh and Blood, it's worth one core value in that if you play something to give something else, your next one saves you a resource. And I actually, and I'll probably take some flack for this, but I actually think that her value is very consistent, or very reminiscent, I should say, of Viserai, right? Viserai, and realistically think about that, right? And to be fair now, I think that overall a rune chant, because it's not a permanent, you pitch to it, I think that a rune chant is probably somewhere around 0.75 or 0.8-ish of a value, right, or of a resource, or whatever you want to call it, because it's not permanent, so it probably comes out to somewhere in that math. But again, this is a combo game, so everything's on a sliding scale, all right? So that's the mind dump, right? But the point here is, with her second swing, which is a repeatable, non-consumable, right, Cintauri Sword, play something to give go again, Cintauri Saber, sorry. You get it. That's free. That is a one value. I mean, that is two for free. Now, sure, you're paying one to pay two on the front end, whereas in a lot of cases with swords, you're paying one for three. We get it. But wouldn't you rather pay one for four? The problem is you have something else, but then a Blade Runner or something like that gives it the buff. It's not lost value. Moral of the story is she's very good on the value curve as she exists today. Now, in Blitz, it works. It works very well in Blitz. She's at least at a minimum, she is a tier 1.5 hero. I think she's in tier 1, but she's on like probably the lower end of tier 1 in Blitz. I mean, again, you can do whatever you want with tiers and all that. I don't really try and play those games. But Kassai is one of the leaders in Blitz. That is not a disputable statement. She is a very, very, very good Blitz hero, and it has to do with her value, right? She doesn't care about hitting. She gets to swing again. As long as you give the first swing go again, she gets to swing again. It's very, very, very good, and that's why, comparing her to someone like Viserai, I think is relatively fair in that as long as you have the card to do the thing, you can do the thing and get the value out of it, right? That's where my head is, and that's what I'm associating it to. And yes, we've seen Viserai be very... Sure, he's not LL'd yet, and blah, 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 blah. Viserai is very good. Is anybody going to argue with me on that? No, he's not. And I think she might be mathematical and practical are two different things, but I think mathematically she's slightly better than Viserai. Practically, she's probably not, just due to the card pool and the way that the Runeblades can take advantage of different things. But hopefully you see my point and what I'm driving at here. Now, that's why I don't think her adult will give you a free second swing. I think her adult version will still focus on second swing in some aspect, and I hope it does because of all the cards that we got in Everfest. I can't imagine it not, and I also can't imagine her not doing something with copper. In fact, you would almost... I think as a player base, I think we would almost demand that it would because of her specialization. I mean, I don't think that's a stretch either. So, again, this is why people don't like the speculation type stuff. Do I know what her ability is going to be? No. Do I know she's going to be there? No. Do I know what her ability is going to be? No. But I know there's a lot of people who are also thinking that we'll see a Kassai and are also very excited about seeing an adult Kassai. But I just want to temper expectations and put it realistically that I don't think, not only do I think it won't be the same because of like 4 or 5 different reasons, but I think we probably wish that she wasn't. Because I think she'd probably... We've seen what consistency and fatigue can do in this game. And if Kassai... Because we have Blade Runner, and we also now have Run Through from the 2-player set. That would be in CC. That's a total of 12 cards in your deck that can give you the value back. So for a 2-pitch, you can swing a Saber, give it go again, get a pump on the second one for free. That's 2 for 2 sets of damage with a back pump. That's really, 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 really good. It's probably too good for the level of consistency that it carries. Now, again, this is a combo game. We'll see how it flushes out in the meta. I'm not saying this would win everything and be broken, but I think that mathematically, this ability as it is today probably would make it through playtesting. That's my theory. So I think we're going to see a Kassai that embodies young Kassai somehow, but isn't quite the same. And God, if she has a talent, who knows? Again, you can let the crazy monkey demons just go wild. I'd love to hear what you guys think. What are your ideas? I don't know. I'm very, very excited. I really do think we're going to see an adult Kassai. I think it's going to happen, whether it be this set, the future set. Isn't that a great way to play it safe on the speculation? Say, well, maybe not tomorrow, but someday, right? And then in 5 years, I'm going to be like, haha, I'm a genius, right? But either way, hopefully you guys understand what I'm driving at, that her, aside from the fact that she has the comma and the name, right? Her as it exists today, I don't think would, just take the jump today and say, this card today now has 40 health and you can play it in CC. I think that would be really good. Like really, really good. And I think that there would be a certain amount of the population that would be pissed off about it because of how consistent and how cheap and affordable it is. So, I don't know. That's my take. Again, hate on me. If you're a Kassai fan, we're in the same boat. I love Kassai. I love playing her. I'm just being realistic about the situation that I think she might be too good in CC, but maybe you disagree. Let me know in the comments below. Thanks for tuning in, and go Commando.